Hey there, music teacher friend. It is that time of year again. The holidays are almost here, which means it's time for a part deux of what will you make room for this season. And we are calling this year's broadcast the No-vember Edition, as in November. We'll explain that in a moment. A lot of stuff gets thrown at us this time of year. And on top of like the regular business things, all of the adminning, the end of the year stuff, many of us are also entering recital season, which brings on more planning and responsibility, shows to attend, shows to perform in, etc. All of the things. And, there's also a lot of stuff outside of work. I don't need to tell you that. For those of us at this time of year, and actually any time of year, who may struggle with saying no to the ever-growing list of requests that tend to pop up, this broadcast is for you. It's also for me. Because I am too a recovering yes person. So today what we're going to do is we're going to dig into this concept of November and how we can more confidently make room for the things that actually matter and room for like blissful, wonderful nothing, because we all deserve a break, so that we can navigate this time of year with a little bit more grace and a little bit more ease. So let's get this party started. I'm going to take a quick break here to make sure that all the lives are going live, and I will be right back. In the meantime, hey, say hello and let me know where you're tuning in from. Here we go. And I almost made it on time. Close enough. All right. So, welcome to this year's edition of What Will You Make Room For? We're calling this Saying Yes to Less, the November edition. And we are going to walk through 3 different points today. A little mindset reset, if you will, to allow us to enter this upcoming holiday season, and actually like any time of busy season of the year, enter those seasons with a little more grace and a little more ease. And so I'm really excited to share all of this good stuff with you today. But before I do that, let me just say to those of you who might be new, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Sara Campbell. I am a business strategist, mindset, and marketing coach for music studio owners and online ed experts just like you. And we go live here on Wednesdays where we talk about those topics, where we talk about business and mindset and marketing and all that stuff. And so today we are shifting into mindset because I'm just going to be honest, like I need this little pep talk myself. And I hope that it will resonate with you as well. Good morning, Heather Nelson. It's so lovely to see you. I love it. All right. So before we get into this, just quick housekeeping. If you hear something that's valuable today, give us a hashtag takeaway and let us know what that value was down below. It's really fun if you're here live with me, I can bring them up on the screen. And if you give those takeaways later on, I'm always here to circle back and have conversations with you. So give us your takeaways and post your questions if you got them. We do have the Savvy Sara bot set up. But before we get to that secret word today, I want to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done that already. I really appreciate those who are subscribed over there. It's really exciting. We keep growing. So hooray. All right. And then ready for the word. I did want to make this word like fancy, but we're not going to make it fancy because I know typing. So if you just drop the word November, you don't have to have the dash in it. We'll explain that in a little bit. If you drop the word November down below, the Savvy Sara bot will reach out to you and she will give you a list of the tips that we're talking about today. She'll also give you the opportunity, if you have not already joined our weekly newsletter, you can do that. And that's also an area where you can sign up to get text reminders about this broadcast so that it's very easy for you to access the videos. All right, so let's unpack this issue. What is the issue here? Well, I mentioned this earlier, but let's reiterate it. This time of year, as we enter the holiday season, tends to be very busy, not just with business things, but also with life commitments. And, it is currently November 8th. We are 2 weeks away from US Thanksgiving. And I don't know about you all, but I feel like once Thanksgiving hits, everything starts snowballing, and it sometimes feels like it's hard to catch up. And so last week, I don't know if it was because I was just brainstorming about this or what, I kept seeing these posts come across my news feed about No-vember, right? And I'll type this in here. I don't know if you've seen this coming in here, the concept of No-vember. Lots and lots of posts about that on my news feed. And I think that I heard about it last year, so I did a little digging into it, and I was like, oh, this is just a fascinating thing, this idea of this movement to start saying no to more things during this time of the year that tends to be rather stressful for many different reasons. And so I thought, this is timely. Last year we did a broadcast similar to this where we were talking about how we can make space for things in our lives at this time of year that tends to get so hectic. So I thought we'd do a part deux today. So I would love to know from those who are watching here, how do you protect your time and energy during this crazy time of year? I would love for you to drop your tips down below. We'll bring those across the screen as we continue this broadcast. So tell me, what are your tips in terms of protecting your time? All right, so let's get to this. But before we do, I just thought we would do something kind of fun. Right. So I have these little cards here today. I've been using them lately to give me a little boost. This is not an advertisement for these cards. I just found them laying around on my desk when I was doing some cleaning the other day. They're these little pop-up cards. They come in a little box, and they give you a little fancy quote or something. So I thought we would start with a carpe diem, and we will end with a dream today. So let's see what we have. I love the sound of this. Wait. Super satisfying. Okay, so this is a quote from Milton Berle, and the quote is, "If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door." It's kind of fun. What I like about these little things is that you can rip this off, and then they're these adorable little framed things. Has anybody else used these before? This was something that we was really popular in my studio a few years back when I bought a bunch, and it was a little reward that students could pull from whenever they needed a little extra boost. I thought it was kind of fun. All right, so let's get to the points today. How can we say no to more at this time of year that can feel so gross, right? There's just so much going on at this time of year. How can we say no to more? So here is our tip number one, and we're going to unpack this. All right. Tip number one is about setting boundaries for creativity and energy. So let's take a look at what this looks like. We've talked about this here on the broadcast before, the importance of setting boundaries, especially as sole prop independent music teachers or multi-teacher studio owners who tend to be juggling a lot of different roles. Setting boundaries is something that we are continuously circling back to. And last week's broadcast circled around that topic. In fact, thinking about, the shifts that we can make in our policies that do allow us to have better boundaries. So this November, my encouragement and invitation to you is to start prioritizing your tasks by importance and urgency. You already have a list of a lot of things that you have been committed to that's coming up over the next couple of months. And so go ahead and make a list of what are those things and then start shifting them around in order. What is super important? What is urgent? And is it actually urgent or does it just feel urgent? These are questions that we can ask ourselves. We really want to do this because it allows us to see what's at the bottom of the list. And when we discover what's at the bottom of the list, then we have an opportunity to say no to those lower priority engagements. Even if you might have said yes to them prior to this, you are allowed to change your mind, especially when you realize that your capacity may be lower than allows for all of these things. So make that list, figure out what is it that I can release. Because when we're able to do that, we are able to free up a lot of mental space and energy, which is really essential at this time of year. Because a lot of you are running recitals, you're singing in performances, you've got lots of family commitments, etc. And that creativity is an essential component to teaching and performing, especially during this busy time of the year. And let's do a little check here to make sure that everything is. I just had a little error come across the screen. If you can see and hear me, let me know. Make sure that there's not something goofy that's happening. All right. I think we are okay. All right, great. So that is tip number 1. Thinking about how can we set better boundaries? How can we prioritize the things that are already on our list, etc. Let's take a look at our second tip here. Okay, Heather says that she can hear me. That's great. It seems like we're going live successfully on the personal page. I'm not so sure about the business page. Oh, Amy says that maybe people are just feeling quiet today. Maybe people are just feeling a little quiet, and that is okay. All right, so let's continue on to tip number 2. And remember, share your own boundary setting tips. I'd love to bring those up on the screen today. All right, so tip number 2 is this. This idea of mindful commitment versus over commitment. There is a very thin, fine line between being committed and being overcommitted. And I don't have to tell you, you know what it feels like when you're overcommitted. There's this like physical and emotional toll that we go through when we're in the space, and that can very easily lead to burnout. This is peak season for us, for many of us, especially those of you who are also gigging and singing musicians on the side. You've already got a lot on your plate. And so, oh, I love this. Heather, oh, you're making pie. Heather says, I'm making pie right now, so not so much typing. And Amy says she's listening and nodding over here while she's co-working. That's beautiful. I love co-working. It's wonderful things. Okay, so when it comes to this idea of mindful commitment versus overcommitment, what is the advice? Well, it's about evaluating opportunities before agreeing to them. And I'm going to share a little story about how this happened to me in mid-October when I was already apparently celebrating No-vember. So when an opportunity comes our way, it sometimes feels easier to say yes than to say no, because there is this association of positivity with the word yes and negativity with the word no. But before we jump into saying yes, if you are also a recovering yes person, I see you, we need to take a pause and ask ourselves the question, does this opportunity actually align with my personal and professional goals at this moment, or is it simply going to fill time? And another question we can ask ourselves is, do I have the capacity to do this right now? I'll share an example of um, a no that I struggled with for a hot second there last month. I had a friend and colleague reach out to me, somebody from the local area, and present this amazing opportunity to pop in and work with a very small cast of a very cool musical. I'll give you a hint as to what it is. The name of the musical is a number. Um, Gave me was presenting this opportunity to bring me in as a guest to work with these amazing female singers. And I got super excited about it. And then I thought to myself, Sara, literally, like, how can you even imagine having the capacity for this right now? So what I did is I asked myself the question, okay, does this actually align with my personal and professional goals at this moment? And what I found is, as tempting and as fun as this opportunity appeared to be, it really wasn't in alignment for this time. My personal goal was to get back into working out at the gym after taking a 6-week hiatus because of pneumonia. And doing something like that was going to clog up some of my evening hours. I wasn't able to get those back. And also at this moment, for my professional goals, it really wasn't in alignment with that either. I already am committed to redoing branding bootcamp workbooks and slides as I go along. And one only has capacities for so much. And so I had to say no. But a no with a thank you and some appreciation. And so, it's important that we think about those opportunities, that we mindfully evaluate them so that we don't accidentally get excited about something and say yes to something that really deep down we probably should have said no to. And one of the tips that I have for this, because I know that saying no does not come naturally to a lot of us, is to keep a journal. We can call it, for this month, we can call it a No-vember journal, right? And take a little time to reflect on the commitments and the feelings around those engagements that you choose to partake in or choose to decline. This can be a great way to kind of evaluate what's really going on when we say yes or no to something. All right. So can anybody guess what that musical was, by the way? I gave a couple of hints. I'd love to know if you can guess. All right. Final point here today. The final point. And I love this. Okay, wonderful. Nicole popped the magic word down below. Remember, if you want to get the points from today and all of the links that come along with it, drop the word November and the Savvy Sara bot will reach out to you. Nicole is the winner. It was 6. Yeah, I know. I was so excited about that. I mean, what a cool opportunity, but just not this year, not this time. Okay, point number 3. Dare to decline what does not serve you. This is, digging into this art of the strategic yes and the power of no. And I love to think, if I'm struggling to say no to something, I like to remind myself that by saying no to something, I am saying yes to something else. Because every time we agree to one more gig, one more student, one more rehearsal, we are potentially saying no to personal time at this time of year, to practice time, to relaxation, to holiday activities that might actually rejuvenate us. So, it's important to think about, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? Because on the other side of this, when we say no to something, you are saying yes to something that truly matters or contributes more significantly to your well-being and to your business. So by saying no to that beautiful opportunity, I was able to say yes to opening up more mental capacity, right? And more space and time in my schedule, knowing that there would have been a lot involved in that opportunity, I was able to open up more space for me to be creative and more space for me to think deeply about how I wanted to edit this course, how I wanted, and more space and time for me to actually carve out those hours that, I need in order to take care of my physical and mental health. Side note, I'm going to the gym this afternoon. Yay. So the invitation today, and you can do this at any time of the year, but the invitation today is to make a No-vember pledge where you say no to at least one thing that may overextend you. And thinking about that. And then think about, once you have that No-vember pledge, keep that journal. We talked about the no journal, right? And answer the question, what positive experiences or opportunities were allowed because of that no? I know that I can already answer some of those things. I'm feeling like super jazzed about the new workbooks that I've put together. I'm really excited about having transferred hundreds of slides into Canva versus the PowerPoint that we've used in the past. And it was so problematic. I'm really excited about that. And, the final thought here is to think of no, not as a refusal, but as an active choice for well-being and for commitment to quality and peace in your personal and professional life. All right, we're going to do a little recap here in just a second. But before we do that, let's bring up some comments. If you are listening and this has resonated with you, actually, just take a moment here. If you are listening and this has resonated with you, if you could do me a little favor, take a moment to like this video, to love this video, take a moment to share down below in the comments, what are the takeaways that you've had today? Let me know if you've enjoyed this because, social proof and all that good stuff. And let's bring up the comments here. I like this. Karen is headed to go to Target. Oh, I'm so jealous. I don't have a Target here. Amy shared some great thoughts. I'm really working on this right now. I've been seeing no, and it's been amazing. And when I'm actually taking downtime, I'm fighting my demons saying I'm not doing enough. It is a process getting to the space where I am allowed to have downtime. Erica, should have done this last month. Yeah, maybe next year I need to move this a little earlier in the process. But circling back to this idea of step number one, if you do make that list of all of the commitments that you have right now and you spend a little time prioritizing them, maybe it's time to release some of those lower commitments. I'm doing some of that. I'm making my list. That was one of my homework items this week. All right. I love it. So let's get to our rapid recap. If please do me a favor, drop the word No-vember down below if you would like to get a hold of all of the goodies today. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, if you look in the link, if you look in the description, there will be a link that you can click on to get a hold of these 3 points. And if you are watching on Instagram or Facebook, that magic word should work. I see another takeaway. Fabulous from Cassandra. She says, I just said no to someone who really wanted me to join their boot camp on how to create a digital product. Like I really need another boot camp, right? Evaluating, is this something that aligns with my personal and professional goals right now, or is this something that just seems like a shiny object, right? Saying no. Bravo. Pamela Jack, nice to see you here. She dropped the word November and she'll get a hold of all of the good things. All right, let's get into our rapid recap in just 1 second. Sorry, some behind the scenes stuff is going on. Before we go to rapid recap. All right, so we opened up our Carpe Diem card, and I said we were going to open a dream card. So here's our little dream card and the satisfying pop. Here we go. So great. All right, so this comes from Paulo Coelho. I hope I said that right. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life Interesting. Little fun for today. I love these little cards. Okay, there we go. All right, let's do our rapid recap. Dun, 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 dun. Drum roll, please. Okay. Here we go. If you are feeling overwhelmed because of this busy season that we are in right now, I just want you to know, friend, you are not alone. Let's talk about the art of saying no and, keep listening if you are feeling the need to have that permission slip for a pause. Tip number 1 here, when you are feeling overwhelmed and overextended, it's time to get clear on setting boundaries for your energy and your creativity. It's time to focus on what matters by prioritizing the things that are already on our list. And I know you have a lot of them. So make that list. Prioritize them in order of urgency and importance, and recognize that if you are reaching capacity, you can kindly and firmly say no to new requests or ask to catch up at a time that is after your busy season. Another thing that can be really helpful when you're feeling overcommitted is to balance your commitments and self-care. So I want you to consider each yes to a request really carefully and ask yourself the question, does this align with my personal and professional goals, or does this just fill up time right now? Track your commitments, keep track of them, and cherish the clarity that comes from thoughtful release of those requests that come your way. You have the right to refuse. All right. And finally, I want you to think about when you are struggling and feeling overcommitted and feeling like I am just completely spread too thin. Embrace the power of no. And I want you to dare to decline the things that do not serve you. And remember that every no is a strategic choice that clears space for activities that you actually love, downtime that you need, and the energy that you need in order to run a successful music studio. If this resonated with you, if you drop the word No-vember down below, you will get a hold of the tips from the Savvy Sara bot. She will deliver that to you via Messenger. And thanks so much for being here, everyone. Here's to the busy season that's coming up, whether it's in the holidays or the springtime or the summer or the fall. A busy time will follow us. So, in the meantime, remember to stay savvy and stay you, because you are an amazing music teacher and there's no one in the world quite like you. And I think that you are pretty dang awesome. We will see you next time. Thanks for being here.